Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Namaskaram. I welcome you all for today's lecture, where we shall be learning about the saint poet Siddhendra Yogi. All the Kuchipudi dancers around the world might have definitely heard and known about Siddhendra Yogi for the reason that he is regarded as the progenitor or the father of Kuchipudi dance. He was a saint visionary who belonged to the Divisima Taluk region of the Andhra. This is a very strong belief by the inhabitants of the Kuchipudi village that Siddhendra Yogi was in the previous ashrama, one among them. Siddhendra Yogi, to whose authorship Bhama Kalapam is ascribed, is the magnum opus of the Kuchipudi dance drama tradition. Bhama Kalapam is more synonymous to the word Kuchipudi. You can never pass through a Kuchipudi dancer who has a minimum of 10 years of dancing experience in Kuchipudi who has not learnt at least the Pravesha Daruvu of Bhama Kalapam. And portraying the character of Satyabhama is a dream to every dancer in Kuchipudi. That is the height of importance that Bhama Kalapam and of course its author Siddhendra Yogi carry in the world of Indian classical dance in general and Kuchipudi in particular. Siddhendra Yogi has not just given a direction to the Kuchipudi Bhagavatulu in the form of a structured pattern of presentation, but he has also introduced a Kalapa tradition which is exclusive to the Kuchipudi dance drama format. You will not see any Kalapas being performed by any other Indian classical dance tradition or folk tradition. It was Siddhendra Yogi who has exclusively given this Kalapa tradition to the Kuchipudi Bhagavatulu of the Divisima Taluk Kuchipudi. Undoubtedly, he was a product of the Bhakti movement, and it is not an exaggeration if I say that it is because of Siddhendra Yogi that the popularization of Kuchipudi through the Bhama Kalapam in the earlier stages was possible. Because he belonged to the medieval era when the Vaishnavism was flourishing in the Andhra region, Siddhendra Yogi also belonged to the Krishna cult, believed Krishna to be the Paramatma or the Parabrahma Swarupa, and he himself thought to be Prakriti and imagined himself to be Satyabhama while authoring the Bhama Kalapam. Siddhendra Yogi legend evokes a lot of debates and discussions because there is no proper documentational evidence about the life and times of Siddhendra Yogi in any archaeological, epigraphical or inscriptional evidence. There are a lot of debates that are very unfortunately still going on about the place of origin, the time, and also sometimes the authorship of Bhama Kalapam. Imagine a text that belongs to the 13th or the 14th century CE, and over a period of almost 600 years, when we take on an average, wouldn't you think that there would be a lot of changes in the text when it has passed through several generations over a period of 600 years? Sometimes people believe that a few pieces of what actually were written by Siddhendra Yogi for the Bhama Kalapam are preserved, and all the other things were rewritten by different poets over the period of 600 years. But it is the strong belief of all the Kuchipudi dancers, and especially the inhabitants of the Kuchipudi village who belong to the traditional families, that Bhama Kalapam has been authored by Siddhendra Yogi. And of course, changes have been made, is also accepted. Some say that he was a disciple of Narayana Tirtha who belonged to the 17th century. The same Narayana Tirtha who belonged to the Kaja region of the Guntur district, which is neighboring the Krishna district, and who is the author of the Sanskrita opera Sri Krishna Leela Tarangini, from which the Tarangams are performed by the Kuchipudi dancers and also were added as interludes in the Kuchipudi Yakshagana Prakriya. They say that Siddhendra Yogi was Narayana Tirtha's disciple and was directly or indirectly involved in the authorship of the Parijatapaharanam, that is sometimes ascribed to Narayana Tirtha and sometimes ascribed to Siddhendra Yogi. There are other legends that say that he was the disciple of Narahari Tirtha. The same Narahari Tirtha that we were discussing in our last lecture, who was the disciple of Sri Madhvacharya, who is the progenitor of the Dvaita philosophy from the Krishna Mutt in the Udupi in Karnataka. What are the legends that are related to Siddhendra Yogi and Narahari Tirtha? And of course Narayana Tirtha, we shall see over this course in the many legends that are documented by different scholars from different areas of expertise talking about the life and times of Siddhendra Yogi. Some say that he belongs to a group of gurus who migrated from Tanjavur after the Maratha rulers have lost in a battle and have migrated to Odisha, and he was one among them. And that is the reason why we see a lot of impact of Gita Govindam of Jayadeva from the Odisha region in the Bhama Kalapam through the character of Satyabhama. Some opine that he was the one who translated the Valmiki Ramayana into the Audra language. Audra is the Odissi language. And there is a clear influence of Gita Govindam in the works of Siddhendra Yogi. So it is a very strong belief that there is a very strong connection of Odisha and Siddhendra Yogi because of the strong influence of Jayadeva's Gita Govindam in his works. But one thing is for very sure, dear students, that no matter it is Siddhendra Yogi's Bhama Kalapam or any other Krishna cult that you take from both the north and the south of India, you always see a lot of influence of Gita Govindam of Jayadeva on all the texts that were written where Krishna was the Paramatma Swarupa. This I am talking especially about the literatures that have come during the Bhakti movement period, not something which is before that, because Jayadeva, like Siddhendra Yogi or Narayana Tirtha or Annamacharya, was also a product of the Bhakti movement, especially during the medieval period when Vaishnavism was flourishing. There are many legends that are attached to Siddhendra Yogi, as I said before, and we shall see 3 legends in this lecture. Now, when I say that Siddhendra Yogi is the progenitor or the father of Kuchipudi, you must be wondering that he has probably given birth to Kuchipudi dance because he is termed as the father. He has fathered the Kuchipudi dance, and before Siddhendra Yogi, there was no dance or dance drama tradition that was prevailing in this region. No, that is not right. when we discussed in a lecture about the Natya and the Nritya in the Andhra region, it was very much understood that even before the time of Siddhendra Yogi, or rather even before the medieval period, which is right from the ancient period, there was a lot of drama, dance, music, theatre put together, which becomes drama. There was a lot of drama tradition that was prevalent in the Andhra region, and of course the Krishna belt also, where Kuchipudi is a part of it. Then, why is Siddhendra Yogi regarded as the father of Kuchipudi even before the time of Siddhendra Yogi if there was drama tradition in this region? Well, one thing is that he has given a direction to the Kuchipudi dance drama tradition by introducing a new literary format called as Kalapa Prakriya, which is exclusively used by the Kuchipudi dancers and its area of performances. Very important number 2 is that before Siddhendra Yogi, even during the early times of the medieval period and the ancient period, the Kuchipudi performers, the young men of the village which is now called as Kuchipudi, they used to perform Shiva Leelas or Vishnu Leelas in the format of the Samskrita Yakshaganas that were already written by some other composers. Now, we don't have any documentation of exactly what Samskrita Yakshaganas these Kuchipudi Bhagavatulu of that particular area performed, where they spoke about Shiva Leelas and Vishnu Leelas. We don't have a literary manuscript or an inscriptional document about that. Now, many things in Bharat Desha only pass through oral traditions, because our culture, our tradition, our civilization is so old, so ancient, that sometimes finding evidences for everything on pen and paper becomes very difficult. And we cannot deny sometimes few things that because there is no documental evidence for that, that is wrong. No, we cannot deny some things like that, because if there is a thought process that has been accepted over generations and generations for hundreds of years, there might be a certain amount of truth in that. The Itihasas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, all these were oral traditions for hundreds of years before they were actually documented on a pen and paper. But that doesn't mean that Ramayana and Mahabharata are false. They are a part of our history. It is just that our civilizations are so old and ancient that many a times, or rather major of the times, it is very difficult for us to find documentational evidences of our own cultures and traditions. But when it is there as a part of the oral history, well, we have to understand that there is at least some percentage of truth that is attached to that history. Of course, exaggerations are always a part of that, because we as humans, we always want to glorify our past. We always want to glorify to where we belong to. So exaggerations are but natural. We exaggerate the gods, we exaggerate the stories related to God. But definitely there is an amount of truth that is being told in the wisdom that is being passed. So the Samskrita Yakshaganas, which were performed by the young Brahmin men who belonged to this region, which is now called as Kuchipudi, for the very first time got a script or a literary mode of performance through the Kalapa Prakriya, or more specifically through the Bhama Kalapam, that has been authored, taught, and an oath taken to perform it in every generation coming forward by Siddhendra Yogi. And that is the reason that the people of Kuchipudi, or the Kuchipudi dance pantheon, regards Siddhendra Yogi as the father of Kuchipudi, because Bhama Kalapam is the very first literary text in Telugu that was exclusively made for the Kuchipudi dance drama performance tradition. And not just that, after teaching Bhama Kalapam, legends say that this Bhama Kalapam was, after being taught, Siddhendra Yogi took an oath from these Kuchipudi families who made that region as their home at that particular point of time, that they would teach this art to every generation, to all the boys who are born in their families, so that the performance of Bhama Kalapam and the Kalapa Prakriya becomes a familial tradition and the art continues to move forward. As I said before, debates on the time period of Siddhendra Yogi have been too many in number. People sometimes do not believe that Siddhendra Yogi existed, or people believe that yes, Siddhendra Yogi existed, but there is a lot of exaggeration on the part, and some believe that no, Siddhendra Yogi was actually a person who has actually authored Bhama Kalapam and has took the art form forward and gave it a structure. P.S.R. Apparao Garu, who is a great scholar and who was the one who translated the Natya Shastra of Bharata Muni into Telugu, he believes that Siddhendra Yogi belongs to the time period between 13th to 17th century CE, with the language, the grammar and the metrical prosody that is used in the text of Bhama Kalapam. So what is the first legend of Siddhendra Yogi? The first legend of Siddhendra Yogi, or the first belief of the story of Siddhendra Yogi, is like this: that his earlier name was Siddhaya and he was the disciple of Saint Narayana Tirtha, who was the author of the Sri Krishna Leela Tarangini. Alright. Now Narayana Tirtha is supposed to be a saint poet who was blind physically. And Siddhaya was a disciple who was always with his master Narayana Tirtha by doing him a lot of service and learning about a lot of wisdom from the different scriptures of the Sanatana Dharma. Now one day what happens, when Narayana Tirtha is sleeping and Siddhaya was at his feet pressing his legs when his guru was sleeping, he suddenly sees Sri Krishna dancing on the chest of Narayana Tirtha. On his Udara Bhagam, he sees him dancing. And then Siddhaya tells to Narayana Tirtha that, Guruji, I can see Krishna dancing on your chest. Narayana Tirtha was so excited and shocked. He was like, how come you're so young and you know so little about Sri Krishna that you are able to actually see Krishna dancing on my chest? And told Siddhaya, okay, please inquire Krishna who is dancing on my chest as to when shall we attain liberation or moksha. And Siddhaya, who actually took his guru very seriously, asks Krishna, Krishna, when will me and my guru attain moksha or liberation? And it seems that Krishna says that for Narayana Tirtha, it will take at least 2 more lives to attain moksha or liberation, but you will attain moksha and liberation, Siddhaya, in this very life itself, after this very life itself. But one thing for sure is that you will attain moksha only when you author my story of Parijatapaharana. And that Siddhaya tells to Narayana Tirtha, and with the encouragement of Narayana Tirtha, he pens the Parijatapaharanam. And after writing the Parijatapaharanam, Siddhaya was so much interested to teach this to some young boys who would perform this. And in search of talented boys, he started moving to different areas, and then he comes across these young Brahmin boys who are well adept in Telugu, and then teaches them the Parijatapaharanam. And of course, also authors Bhama Kalapam, which is a Sringara Prabandha, and teaches these young boys who belonged to the region near the Krishna belt, which is called as Kuchipudi now. Now, this is one legend that talks about the life and times of Siddhendra Yogi, which places Siddhendra Yogi in the exact timeline of Narayana Tirtha as his Sishya and the contemporary who lived during the same century. And when Siddhaya, the Siddhendra Yogi, teaches Bhama Kalapam to the young Brahmin boys, he says that it is Krishna's instruction to teach the Parijata Paharanam and Bhama Kalapam to these young boys. And he takes an oath from them that henceforth every boy who is born in the families who belonged to that Krishna belt have to be taught this Parijata Paharanam and Bhama Kalapam, and it shouldn't be taught to girls because it is a Sringara Prabandha, and sometimes it might not be okay performing for women the Sringara Prabandha. So it's better that boys take over the responsibility of passing over the Sringara Prabandha, and they have to perform at least once in their lifetime in the presence of Ramalingeshwara Swami in the Kuchipudi village, in the Bala Tripura Sundari Ramalingeshwara Swami temple. Now, once Siddhendra Yogi, who was a disciple of Narayana Tirtha and who was a saint poet himself, taught the Parijapta Apaharanam and Bhama Kalapam to these young boys. Now, in the society, there was a sort of respect that these people gained because they were taught directly by a saint poet and a sannyasi. And also more so because this was an instruction directly by the Krishna Paramatma to teach these young boys this dance opera. And thus, the Bhama Kalapam cult in the now called Kuchipudi village started with Siddhendra Yogi. This is the very first legend of Siddhendra Yogi that some scholars opine is true. Now, the another legend of Siddhendra Yogi, which is published in the Golconda Patrika in 1942. Now, the author is anonymous. We don't know who has written it, but this was published in a magazine called as Golconda Patrika in 1942. Now, what is the legend that this Golconda Patrika story says? That Siddhendra Yogi was a master of the Bharata Shastra, that he knew the Natya Shastra extremely well, dance aesthetics, dance technique, music techniques, theatre techniques, everything so well. And he was the composer of the Parijata Paharana, which is regarded as the first Yakshagana in Telugu. This is what the author opines, who has written and published this article. Now, after composing Parijata Paharana, which is like the first Yakshaganam in Telugu, he was in search for young boys to teach them how to perform this Parijata Paharana, how to sing the Parijata Paharana, and how to take it forward. And very importantly, he wanted young boys who were adept with Telugu, because the literature is in Telugu. Now, when he started searching for young boys to teach them, many families who had this dance tradition in them rejected this offer because they never felt that Brahmin boys shouldn't dance. That's a degradation in the society that they would have. They should only recite the Vedic mantras. Dancing and all is not proper for the upper class strata of the society. But once when happened in search of these young boys, when he rested in the Kuchipudi village in the search, in the journey for a proper adept young boys who were good in Telugu, there was once that when he rested in Kuchipudi, one Vedantam Someshwara Somayajulu and his three brothers who belonged to this region which is called as Kuchipudi, they came to know that a sannyasi is resting near a tree in their village, and these three brothers happened to meet Siddhendra Yogi. Now, the reason that they met Siddhendra Yogi is because since many years they had no children, they had no progeny. So they were very much worried about the fact that they will not have children to take their family forward. So when they came to know that the sannyasi has come, these three brothers, one Vedantam Someshwara Somayajalu and the other two, went to meet Siddhendra Yogi and asked him when will they get progeny or what should they do. Then Siddhendra Yogi, through his sixth sense meditative powers, tells them that you will beget children. All three brothers will get children, will be blessed with children. But one thing is that once you get sons, once your sons are born to you, when they attain a certain age, I will teach them Parijata Paharanam, and they have to take it seriously, perform it, and that should become a family tradition. The three brothers agree to that. And they say, yes, we will keep up to our promise, and if we give birth to sons, we will definitely make them your disciples, and you will teach them Parijata Paharanam, and we will make sure that all the generations of our family will perform Parijata Paharanam. And as said, the three brothers were blessed with three sons, one each. And when these three young boys who were born, they attained a certain age where their Upanayanam was performed. And during that time, the three brothers who became fathers now, in their dream, Siddhendra Yogi has come and reminded them of the promise that they have made. Very coincidentally, without knowing about this entire incident, Venkatadri Prabhuvu, who is the head of that village where these three brothers are staying, he invited Siddhendra Yogi to come to the village and bless everyone. And it was exactly parallelly during that time that the Upanayanam was happening, and the three brothers came to know that the same Siddhendra Yogi is coming, approached him and told them that the sons are now ready to learn the Vedas and the Shastras because they have just performed the Upanayanam, and requested Siddhendra Yogi to teach them the Parijata Paharanam. And that is how Siddhendra Yogi starts teaching these three young boys Parijata Paharanam. And then they perform the same in the Ramalingeshwara Swami temple, where all the other villagers are also there, including Venkatadri Prabhu, who is the headman of that village. Venkatadri Prabhu was so much impressed by the Parijata Paharanam performance, and especially the young boy who donned the Krishna character, that he felicitates the young boy who has done the Krishna character. And in the same night, he gets a dream. In his dream, Krishna comes and says, "Thank you for felicitating me, and I am truly honored with the love that you have for me." The next day morning, the headman wakes up with his dream, goes directly to Siddhendra Yogi and prostrates at its feet and asks him what does he want for all the good that he has done to his village people. And Siddhendra Yogi says that let this village of Kuchipudi belong to the three brothers' families to whom this Parijata Paharanam will be a familial tradition, and this Agraharam will become a financial assistance to them to take this art form forward. This is the second legend of Siddhendra Yogi, which was published in the Golconda Patrika. Now, what is the third legend of Siddhendra Yogi? That his name was Chinta Sridharudu. He belonged to the Chinta, one of the 15 traditional families of Kuchipudi, and he had his education in Kashi and stayed in Assam for a long period of time while coming back from Kashi to the Krishna belt. And there in Assam, he has served a lot of sannyasis and a lot of gurus. And when you see the Assam in terms of performing arts, you see a lot of sannyasis who stay in the monasteries called as satras are very much adept with the performing arts and especially the Krishna Bhakti. You see a lot of Srimanta Shankara Deva's influence in Satriya, Ankiya Nat, Bhavana, Assam is a spectrum of performing arts put together thanks to the efforts of Srimanta Shankaradeva, and the monasteries in Assam that encourage and propagate performing arts and bhakti through the performing arts is huge. So this Chinta Sridharudu, who was later called as Siddhendra Yogi, had his formal education in Kashi. Now when you see the educational map of India, there were few places where people took it very, very honored to have their education. In south it was Udupi, in north it was Kashi, and then in the northwest it was the Nalanda and the Takshashila. It was, of course, the Nalanda and Takshashila are very ancient, but North Kashi and South Udupi were very, very famous educational centers for young boys to be trained in the Gurukula Paddhati. So while coming back from Kashi after finishing his education, he stayed in Assam for a lot of period of time, learned Krishna Bhakti through the performing arts traditions, and after he came back to the Krishna belt, he trained a lot of young boys the art of dance, music and theatre, and made the art form flourish in the Krishna belt of the Andhra region, to which he originally belongs to. And because of this, he created a varied spectrum of Desi dance traditions and also taught them to these young boys of the Kuchipudi village. He also took a lot of concepts concerning dharma and nyaya and included them in the dance drama traditions of the Kuchipudi village. So these are a few of the legends of the great saint poet Siddhendra Yogi, which are there in circulation that some scholars believe to be true. In the upcoming lecture, which is a part 2 of this lesson, we will see some more legends that are attached to the life and times of Siddhendra Yogi, the author of the magnum opus Bhama Kalapam. Until then, Namaskaram.